Hi, man. Peace. I did a video about a week or so ago pertaining to the standout champion of the 160-pound middleweight division by the name of Canelo Alvarez. He tested positive for the performance-enhancing drug Clenbuterol, which is used to aid in weight cutting and is classified as what they call a bronchodilator, which is normally used to assist asthmatics in their breathing. So now what can be implied is that Canelo, who has a history of gassing out, needs that drug to maintain strength while also cutting weight, and also hoping to improve his blood oxygenation. Well, recently they asked Mr. Gennady Golovkin how he feels about Canelo being caught using that performance-enhancing drug. He stated that it's a terrible thing and that he considered stopping the fight. And that did not surprise me, because when you get into the ring, your life is on the line. And if your opponent is using performance-enhancing drugs, that's something that you certainly want to consider. Anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
The May 5th Canelo-Gennady Golovkin rematch may be up in the air. Mexican boxer Canelo Alvarez tested positive for a banned performance-enhancing substance, Clenbuterol. His promoter said the trace level is consistent with what's found in meat contamination in Mexico.
No, that's actually not true. The cover story used by the Canelo Alvarez camp is that the reason why he tested positive for Clenbuterol is because of the tainted meat in Mexico. What was revealed in the VADA report is that Canelo Alvarez tested at a level of 600 picograms of Clenbuterol. Normally, athletes that are found to have tested positive for Clenbuterol due to tainted meat test at about 50 picograms. So, no, sir, I'm not buying what you're selling.
As a result, Canelo is moving his training camp from Mexico to the U.S.
So why did he not do that initially? And that's my question for many of the Canelo Alvarez fans. If you know that your country uses meat that is tainted with a performance-enhancing drug that you could test positive for, why would you, number one, not have a high-level nutritionist? Why would you not be utilizing organic meat? Why would you not have your training camp outside of Mexico or outside of any country that it could even be a possibility could use tainted meat?
The executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Bob Bennett, said this: "We will do our due diligence, and once it's done, we'll let it be known whether we're going to move forward with this fight."
Oh, give me a break. We all know that you're going to move forward with the fight. You have too much money to lose. Canelo Alvarez is probably the biggest cash cow in boxing right now, since Floyd Mayweather's gone and Manny Pacquiao has been heavily diminished.
Our senior boxing writer Dan Rayfield thinks the fight will happen.
My suspicion and my experience in covering these things will say that they'll go and they'll do their investigation. Canelo will be subjected to additional, more rigorous testing than he already is subjected to, and then at the end of the day, the fight will happen.
Canelo Alvarez truly is right now very upset by his conditioning coach, his nutritionist, whoever that person is, because it's that person's job to make sure that Canelo does not get caught. It's that person's job to understand Canelo's body and know exactly how large a trace of any performance-enhancing drug that he's being given is going to remain in his system when he starts getting tested by VADA or USADA or whoever the sanctioning drug testing agency is that's being used by both fighters.
It's going to take something truly monumental for them to cancel this fight. My perception is that the trace amounts of the Clenbuterol found in his system will not rise to the level where they'll have to actually cancel the fight. They'll go through the due diligence, as I said, and ultimately the fight will take place because there's a lot of money riding on this fight.
So that's truly all that matters. Money talks. And Triple G, despite his protest, will go ahead with the fight because who else is he going to make this type of money with? Triple G is closer to 40 than he is to 21. He needs to have as many big paydays as he can.
For more on Canelo, here's First Take.
All right, so here's the deal. As you just heard, Canelo testing positive for Clenbuterol, apparently from contaminated meat. Max, big deal? No big deal?
It's a big deal because it's an enormous fight, and in boxing, even the fact that the decision was controversial, most people thought Triple G won.
I thought that Canelo outboxed him, but I didn't think that he was authoritative enough to take Triple G's belt. I know that certain people disagree with that. It's okay. As we saw in the aftermath, the only reason why Canelo most likely even had the energy to keep up with Triple G for the entire fight was because he was on performance-enhancing drugs. But who knows? Triple G's probably on something as well, allegedly.
and it wound up a draw is not great for boxing, right? Because people start talking about that controversy instead of the fight. And here...
Well, the draw was great for Golden Boy, and it was great for Canelo because it provided another opponent, another big-name opponent for a fighter who they're trying to make into the new Floyd Mayweather, which he will never be. He doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have the physical proportions to be a Floyd Mayweather and rise up through a multitude of weight classes and defeat the top-level fighters in each weight class. Canelo can't move up to 168. He's too short. So that's why they keep floating him in between 154 and 160, because he's short and he's stocky. And that's why he needs help. He needs whatever aid he can in cutting as much weight as he can cut, because he just has very poor genetics to be a professional boxer, at least in regards to weight cutting and his physical proportions. He's short and he's wide. So he can't go up through numerous weight classes. He doesn't have the dimensions. He is very skillful, though. I will give him that. He has good defense and he has good head movement, but he has very slow feet.
Here, it gives people a reason to talk about this fight in a negative context instead of focusing on what a great fight the first one was. The rematch should be even better. By the way, I already taped a face-off with Triple G and Canelo. It's going to air April 10th, right after the Andre the Giant.
And I'm just finding this out?
That's right.
I'm just finding this out?
Who cares about the face-off? Neither one of these guys can speak English anyway. What are they going to say? We already saw the first fight. What are they going to say new? What's Triple G going to say? I'm going to Canelo, I'm going to hit you. Like, who gives a shit? Triple G and his Count Chocula sounding ass.
Dude, all I'm going to say is sometimes you talk to fighters and you just get a feeling this is going to be, you can tell.
Well, we're going to have a talk after this
prediction
show. I expect to be informed of this stuff in advance.
My prediction is you could sit in on one of
I'm just saying, man, help a brother out. I got to see this.
My prediction is the rematch will be even better than the original. I think this is going to be a special fight.
I believe that Triple G, unless he shows a tremendous amount of age, which is highly possible, even if he is using performance-enhancing drugs, after 35, 36 years old, most fighters start to drop off precipitously in regards to their athleticism. So it would not surprise me if we see a precipitous drop-off in Triple G. But if he does not show that physical decline, it wouldn't shock me if he stops Canelo inside of 8 rounds. Particularly if Canelo is not allowed to utilize the drugs, whatever aids or helps he used in the first fight. Because I'm sure that this was not the first time that he used Clenbuterol. I'm pretty sure that he used it in the first fight where he came out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But let me get into the Clenbuterol of it all, okay? First of all, testing for PEDs in boxing is different than other sports. If you catch a baseball player, Jim Lampley makes this point a lot, Stephen A. If you catch a baseball player or a football player on PEDs, they're suspended. The event's not canceled.
Yeah.
The team still plays.
Now, did you guys hear what Max Kellerman just stated? Now you guys know why from 2009 all the way to 2014, HBO put the target on Floyd Mayweather. Because basically what they were telling Floyd is, Floyd, what are you doing? This is entertainment. It's not your job to peek behind the scenes and tell the director how the play is supposed to go. You're supposed to get in there with Manny Pacquiao no matter what he's on and deal with whatever he's throwing at you. And if you win, good for you. If you lose, who cares? Because we're going to make our money regardless. The Manny Pacquiao machine was created from the very beginning to act as an anti-Floyd Mayweather, a foil to Floyd Mayweather, to play off of the energy that Floyd emitted. And Floyd threw a monkey wrench in their whole program by demanding full random blood testing. He was not supposed to do that. And that truly threw off the boxing paradigm that HBO had created, where they were trying to plug into a lot of third world countries through Manny Pacquiao. And they were going to use the black American big mouth fighter as the sacrificial lamb. That's what they were hoping for.
You catch a main event fighter on PEDs, you catch him, event canceled. No Cinco de Mayo fireworks, it's over, right?
Exactly. That's why you guys did not want to have full random blood testing for Manny Pacquiao all the way from 2009 through 2014, 2015. Go look up Manny Pacquiao's last fights at 130, where Jim Lampley stated point blank that Manny Pacquiao looked like a done fighter, that he'd had his time, but now he looked done. So you mean to tell me if Jim Lampley understood what he was watching when he saw Manny Pacquiao in the latter part of his time period at 130 pounds, if he saw a shot fighter, that he didn't see something strange about Manny Pacquiao's resurrection at 135, 140, 147, 154? Of course they did. They knew that Manny Pacquiao was on something. They just did not want Floyd Mayweather to be the one to figure it out. They did not want him to be the one to capitalize off of Manny Pacquiao basically being a Frankenstein monster for HBO.
Now, so we know that. We also know that they are testing with VADA. VADA's not USADA, who somehow doesn't seem to catch anyone ever.
Well, they caught Lance Armstrong, didn't they? They caught Lance Armstrong.
And yet is much more expensive than VADA, meaning the feeling is, well, if you're using USADA, you're paying essentially to not get caught. That's the sense in boxing.
Well, no, that's the sense by the Floyd Mayweather detractors like yourself, who basically had to concoct a narrative that the reason why Floyd Mayweather does not want to use VADA and he uses USADA is because he's paying USADA to help him pass the test. This was the narrative that was concocted by the Floyd Mayweather detractors once they realized that, yes, full random blood testing was going to become a permanent part of boxing, not just boxing, but all major sports, and that Floyd Mayweather was thinking ahead of his time. So instead of just giving him credit, they had to detract from him by alleging that the reason why he does not want to utilize VADA, that he prefers USADA, is because he's paying USADA to help him pass the test. When in reality, the only reason why any company ever got involved in full random blood testing in boxing was because of Floyd Mayweather in the first place. So it makes no sense that Floyd would introduce a drug testing protocol that he himself was paying to beat. Any test can be beaten, including the VADA test. And it's very obvious that Canelo felt like he had the key to beating the VADA test because he most likely had been doing it for a very long period of time. But please understand that he's not the one who introduced the VADA or any type of blood testing protocol into boxing. Floyd Mayweather was the one who did that. So it makes no sense that he would have USADA assist him in beating a test that did not even exist until he introduced the concept of it.
VADA catches people all the time. Victor Conti, who's good at getting away with it, advises VADA. So they know how to catch the cheaters. So if there's VADA testing in a fight, you wouldn't think the fighter's trying to cheat.
Sure you would, because there's a way to beat every test. If I remember correctly, Mimo Heredia, the conditioning trainer for Marquez, stated that he knows how to beat the test.
Because they know they're going to get caught. So what happened here? Clenbuterol is in a lot of meat that is distributed in Mexico. And what is Clenbuterol? It's not a steroid. It's not a masking agent. It essentially heats up your system to help you make weight, right?
Yes, it also assists you with your breathing. It's a bronchodilator. I had brothers tell me that it also causes a higher heart rate. Well, that's a possibility, but it is classified as a bronchodilator. It does assist you in your breathing because it is prescribed to asthmatics.
So if you find trace amounts of it, burns fat. If you find trace,
I need to use it.
You ain't kidding. If you and me, I do too. If you find trace amounts of it in a fighter out of Mexico, where, by the way, a ton of world-class fighters are from, because there's no boxing culture in the world like Mexican boxing culture. They produce a tremendous number of incredible fighters. Well, okay, what is he supposed to just not eat meat? It's different.
No, sir. This is Canelo Alvarez that we're talking about. This is not some fighter who's on his come up and doesn't have any money. What he's supposed to do is not train in Mexico. And if he does want to train in Mexico, he has meat that is shipped in, that is fresh, that is organic, that he knows is not tainted. But the reason why he trained in Mexico is so that he would have an excuse in case he got caught.
When the NFL sends a memo around, because this happened in the NFL, careful when you're in Mexico, don't eat the meat. How many players are living there? A lot of fighters live there, including Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, so if the NFL knows that, how come Canelo doesn't know that? If he's fighting in the most lucrative boxing match of the year, why would he eat meat from a country that he knows is possibly tainted with a PED, a performance-enhancing drug, that if he gets busted for, could cost him the fight, unless he feels like he needs the drug desperately to win?
I want to chime in here because I want to defer to you, but I want you to hear my point before we come back to you.
And before Stephen A. chimes in, let me also say this. Once again, the amount of Clenbuterol in Canelo Alvarez's system is not consistent with the amount of clenbuterol that is found in those who eat tainted meat in Mexico or Argentina or China or wherever many of these countries are that allege that their athletes are eating tainted meat. The amount of clenbuterol found in Canelo Alvarez's system is consistent with someone who purposefully had clenbuterol put into their system by whatever means, whether it be injection or what have you. He was found to have clenbuterol at a 600 picogram level, when the average athlete that has trace amounts of clenbuterol in their system from eating meat is at 50 picograms.
I agree with you. Me personally, I'm going to admit this. I'm going to admit this on national television. I don't give a damn what it is. Figure it out. Don't mess up with that. Don't mess with that fight. Cinco de Mayo, I know where I'm going to be.
That's the exact reason why fighters have to be concerned about their own welfare, because you people in the media don't give a shit. And that's why you put so much heat on Floyd Mayweather to get into the ring with a fighter who was clearly on performance-enhancing drugs and Manny Pacquiao, allegedly. You did that because you didn't care about his welfare, so he had to care about his own.
You understand what I'm saying? I might wear Mexican garb and all that stuff. I'm going to be up in that thing. I ain't missing this, okay? If one of them is...
Look at Molly Karam's face. Molly Karam is like, look at this dude. He don't give a shit about anybody. Listen to what Molly's going to say. She's the only one who has any sense in this segment.
Is on something, just give the other one
Give the other one. Do what you got to do, Molly. You understand? Don't mess with my fight on Cinco de Mayo. You understand? Don't mess with it, all right?
Did you hear what Molly Karam said? She said, I get it. You guys believe that it was from contaminated meat. Let me rewind it back.
I'm scared.
Something, just give the other one.
Give the other one. Do what you got to do, Molly. You understand? Don't mess with my fight on Cinco de Mayo. You understand? Don't mess with it, all right? I'm scared.
You see what Molly said? She said, I get it. You guys believe it was from contaminated meat. In other words, Molly has enough common sense to know that when you're a top-level athlete, a world-class athlete, mistakes like that don't happen. It's not possible.
Everybody figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I will say this. This is, in all seriousness, this is where I think we have to be careful. I'm going to give Canelo Alvarez the benefit of the doubt. This dude is a superstar. He is something special.
What does that have to do with anything, Stephen A. Smith? LeBron James is a superstar. His name was found in the biogenesis ledger. Kobe Bryant's a superstar. He was running over to Germany to have God knows what done on his body.
And he's a treasure in the sport of boxing in this day and age. I think he's the biggest box office draw in boxing right now.
He is. There's no question about that. At least for now, until Anthony Joshua rises in prominence. If he were to beat Deontay Wilder, he'd probably take over that mantle.
Having said all of that, Max, just playing the devil's advocate, not to cast any aspersions on him, but look at
his body there as compared to how it looked at the weigh-in when he fought against Triple G. There he looks relatively fit, but when he was on the scale preparing to fight Triple G, the man looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Look at what you said. You talked about world-class fighters in Mexico. The fact that we could easily lean on an argument that this substance has been found in the bodies of Mexican fighters before. So it's a plausible deniability argument that could be made.
No, it's not a plausible deniability argument. Actually, the issue becomes, are all these guys on performance-enhancing drugs? That's the real issue.
Combine that with the fact who he went up against. He went up against the monster. The monster, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. And, he was a guy that moved up the middleweight to fight a natural middleweight who is a knockout artist in Triple G. So if there was ever a reason to have substance in your system, that would be it. But I don't believe, I'm going to side with Canelo. I'm just saying that
it's not your job to side with Canelo. It's your job to side with the truth. The fact of the matter is that the human body does not work how Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman would like us to think it works. You don't have more body fat in lower weights than you do at a higher weight class. Canelo Alvarez has less body fat at 155 pounds fighting against Triple G than he had at 147 pounds. Like, I know for a fact, I could look at a photo of Floyd Mayweather on the scale and I could tell what weight he's fighting at. Because anybody who's familiar with Floyd's fights and his weigh-ins, when he fought at 150 pounds or 152 pounds when he was fighting a Miguel Cotto or Oscar De La Hoya or even Conor McGregor, you could tell the physical difference in his physique because he had more fat around his midriff, around his midsection. When he was down at 146 fighting at welterweight, you could tell because there were more striations around his midsection. Canelo Alvarez moved up to 155 to fight Triple G. Or, pardon me, he fought Triple G at 155, and he was more ripped than he was even when he fought at 147.
That if you are USADA or anybody else, okay,
or Vada,
there is a situation where you find yourself not just looking at the evidence, but you also look at the incentive and the agendas and everything else. And these are the kind of things that boxing has to be.
Okay, but what? So Canelo had to build up to a middleweight,
sure.
Right? He's not gonna. It's not a weight burning thing.
I agree.
You're gonna be looking for. You're gonna be looking for a muscle building thing, right?
No, that's not true. That's not true. Actually, Canelo does have problems making weight, and that's why I bring up the issues with his body type. Canelo is too wide to go down to 154 because he's going to be too weak, but he's too short to move up. So that's the conundrum that he's at. That's why Oscar's having a fight at this very weird catch weight of 155, and the only reason why he's able to do it is because he's the cash cow. Because if he wasn't a cash cow, Canelo probably would not even be in boxing right now, because there's not that many weights that he could fight at comfortably. That's why he has to fight a Triple G, because if he fights a taller fighter like a Jamal Charlo or a Abubu Andrade, he's going to be in trouble because of the reach that those guys have as well as the power. So you'd rather have him fight a Triple G as many times as possible and maximize his earning potential before you have to throw him to the wolves.
Right. The other thing is, I've worked fights before. There was a Vargas Salido fight, a war in Southern California, StubHub Center.
I remember
that. Great fights there. And Clenbuterol was found in Vargas's system.
Right.
But it was trace amounts that would be the kind of amounts that would come from contaminated meat. And there's no controversy. That meat does exist in Mexico and is widely consumed. And therefore, even American athletes, when they travel in Mexico, come back and they found elevated Clenbuterol levels. So the NFL players, no, doesn't matter, not an excuse. Careful when you travel in Mexico.
Exactly. So if the NFL knows that there's no excuse, how come Canelo Alvarez doesn't know that there's no excuse? Unless he stays in Mexico so that he can have an excuse for if he gets caught and his nutritionist or his conditioning coach is not as good as he thought he was. I guarantee you Canelo had a very long talk with his conditioning coach after he got busted. He said, "What the fuck am I paying you 6 figures for, dude? This is a 9-figure fight and you're fucking up my money."
But if you live in Mexico, you're supposed to know every time you buy a burger, you're supposed to know, or you eat a burrito.
You get like organic, good meat.
Thank you, Molly.
You have to trace the supplier of the meat.
You don't have to trace shit. All you got to do is move your camp to America. Just knock it off, Max Kellerman. I understand you work for HBO. You're a shill. You love money. Whatever, man. Just try to have a little bit of integrity on this subject. Thank goodness Molly was in on this segment with these two jackasses.
Now, I can't believe you, of all people, asked that question. You the one that know all of this stuff better than most of us, as much as you travel.
Now, you see, Stephen A. Smith is turning on her because she's breaking character. Remember, ESPN has an association with HBO. Their job is to make sure that this fight comes off without a hitch. Because believe me, as we get closer to this fight, you're going to see Canelo and Triple G on First Take and on ESPN. Because they are in league with HBO. Molly's not supposed to be saying what she's saying.
Yeah, I'm just asking. There's not a way to get around you to protect yourself. I
am saying to you that I would lean on you before I lean on somebody else. You would know.
I try to have someone help me out. I don't know if that's possible.
Right.
It's very possible, Molly. You're asking the right questions. They just don't want to give you the answers because to do so would convict Mr. Canelo Alvarez, Mr. Red Beard, the man with the LeBron beard. I wonder what him and LeBron are hiding under those beards.
Right. Also, fighters are, not Canelo Alvarez, but many fighters don't have the resources that major American athletes have.
So then that makes your point moot. Because you yourself understand that Canelo has those resources.
To have an investigator check where their meat is coming from. The point is, if his Clenbuterol levels are through the roof, and we hear, look, there's no way this is coming from meat, that's one thing. But if it's a trace amount of something that helps you burn fat, and he's in Mexico, and we know the meat's contaminated.
So you guys believe it.
You know what we say?
Look how Max Kellerman is looking at Stephen A. Smith for support. Did you see him after he let off that little rant there? He looked at Stephen A. to co-sign him. Let me rewind it back a little bit.
What we say? You know what?
Trace amount of something that helps you burn fat.
Well, what it helps you do should not really be relevant because according to you, he ingested it by mistake, right, Max Kellerman? So which one is it? Is it harmless because it only helps him burn fat, or is it harmless because he ate it by mistake? Help me out, Max Kellerman.
And It's in Mexico, and we know the meat's
Got it.
contaminated.
So you guys believe it.
You know what? You know what we saying? You know what we really saying? You know what Max is really saying? Damn it, this ain't enough to stop the fight.
Thank you, sir. That's really all you had to say. You don't care about Triple G's welfare. You don't care about Canelo's welfare. You just want to be entertained. And that's my overall point. That's why, as a fighter, as a boxer, if you're clean or you intend on being clean, you have to watch out for yourself, because these media people, they don't care. And that is why they castigated Floyd Mayweather for so many years, because he broke through that wall of narrative that they were creating around Manny Pacquiao and around their mythological super fight. His job was just to go along, to get along, just get in the ring, and hopefully be another victim of Manny Pacquiao. He truly threw a monkey wrench in that whole program when he introduced the idea of a fully random blood test.
Okay, let's find a way to squash this storyline. Get rid of it. Now, Max don't need to say it. I'll say it. I don't give a damn what it is.
Good for you, Stephen. They be honest.
Figure it out. Get rid of it.
sounds like the fight's still on.
Look, you're damn right it's going to be on. You better believe it's going to be on. It better be on.
You know what's messed up
They'll
about
tell you that right
Canelo's?
now.
You know what's messed up about this for Canelo's reputation, though? This dude was a teenager fighting grown men in
That's
Mexico,
right.
packing the house.
That's
He
right.
comes to the States. He's the money guy. He doesn't have to avoid. He doesn't have to take all the toughest fights.
Does it?
He take.
Actually, he does. He had to fight Gennady Golovkin to be considered legitimate. Yes, he does have to take tough fights.
He takes fights against guys like Austin
He's
Trout,
a true
Erisman,
champion,
Lara.
Molly.
These are tough guys.
I give him credit for Lara. That was a fight he did not have to take that he took. I give him credit for that one. The Austin Trout fight he had to make so that he could set up a Floyd Mayweather bout.
He fights Triple G and then agrees to VADA testing, which catches cheaters.
Yeah.
And now his name is being dragged through the mud, even though there is plausible
I can
deniability.
totally get it.
Clearly, he was told that he would be allowed to beat the VADA test. Most likely, Oscar De La Hoya greased the palm of whoever was involved with the VADA test previously. Maybe whoever it was testing for it right now was not in the know. There's no way that you're going to tell me that he was found to have a dirty test for Clenbuterol for this fight, but not for the last one. Clearly, Oscar's Connect is not doing his job.
Yeah, it's not
Let's
fair.
say that.
Can't some meat company start sending us
You
some
can
meat
call it
out
being
to the-
dragged.
Look, Molly's still on. How come he can't get clean meat? Molly, you already know that the man is dirty. It's not that he tests dirty, it's that he is dirty. It's okay. You're not going to get Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman to acquiesce to your common sense. Unfortunately, the woman on the panel is the only one with common sense here, because these two guys are charged up and emotional over a prospective super fight.
Drag through the mud all you want to. Ain't no mud this way. I love Canelo. He alright with me. Let me tell you something right now. This is a small issue. Oscar De La Hoya and the Golden Boy crew will handle this. Okay? There will be a fight of Cinco de Mayo. We will
Okay,
all
no
be
personal
there.
agenda.
Damn, dude, I hope that Oscar De La Hoya is hitting you off proper. I hope he's giving you some money for all this shit.
And ain't no the personal agenda is that we want to see the fight.
Hold on.
And I don't want a bad meat. Canelo versus Triple G gets stopped because of bad meat.
They're gonna give him
Who
steak.
cares
They're gonna
about
bring him
that?
Because it wouldn't be stopped over bad meat. It would be stopped over one of them cheating using performance-enhancing drugs, Stephen A. Smith. It would be the equivalent of Max Kellerman out debating you because he already knew what you were going to say. Like he already read your sheet and he knew all the points that you were trying to make. You'd be mad as hell.
You know, who gives a damn? I eat bad meat all the time, okay?
Pause.
Hey, who cares? Who cares?
I just want to be very
Just
clear
let
about
it go.
something. I want to be very clear. I get your point.
Right.
I think people appreciate that.
Please.
You want the fight to go on. In addition and separate from that, do you believe there was wrongdoing here
No.
based on the evidence?
No.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There's no doubt about it. The traces of Clenbuterol that are consistent with somebody eating bad meat is approximately 50 picograms. Canelo was found to have 600 picograms of Clenbuterol in the test that VADA found that was dirty. So yes, I do.
No.
Neither do I.
No.
Neither
He's
do
a
I.
warrior.
Just
Right.
like that.
Canelo is a warrior. He ain't scared of anything.
That had nothing to do with cheating, sir.
And I don't
Wait, I'm not
believe
sure.
he's a
Do
cheater.
you want to go to the fight? Do you want
I am going to the fight. I'm leaving the NBA playoffs to go to the damn fight.
When we
I
come
promise
back.
you.
But anyway, that's it on this video. I'm sure that the fight in May is going to be a barn burner for however long it lasts.